The Galactic Council chamber was full that day. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the vast hall, their voices blending into a deep roar of languages and tones. Holographic banners shimmered in the air, showing the great alliance of the galaxy's strongest civilizations. Every race was present, the proud Valorians with their golden skin, the tall Erics with crystal eyes, and the reptilian Karth whose scales reflected the lights like armor. And then, at the very back of the hall, sat the humans. No one really noticed them. They were quiet, too quiet for most aliens' liking. While others argued about trade, power, and fleets, the humans simply observed. They listened, took notes, and never interrupted. Too many it seemed odd. Human delegation was always invited, yet they rarely spoke. No dramatic gestures, no loud opinions, just calm silence. The Valorian ambassador, Lord Kreth, often mocked them. Why do they come, he said once with a laugh, if they never speak? Perhaps their small planet has nothing worth saying. Laughter filled the chamber that day, all except from the humans. Their leader, Commander Elias Ward, only smiled faintly and said nothing. The galaxy had long learned to underestimate humans. After all, Earth was small, one blood among thousands of greater worlds. Their ships were few, their colonies still young, compared to the mighty fleets of the Valorians or the Karth Dominion. Humanity seemed weak, almost harmless. But what most species didn't know was that humans rarely showed their true hand. They watched, they learned. They remembered Commander Ward sat at his usual place, hands folded, eyes calm. Round him, his officers were silent, each one focused, analyzing every debate, every power play. The topic that day was serious. The rising threat of the Vreet swarm, a hive species expanding from the galactic rim. Dozens of systems had already fallen. Colonies were consumed. Fleets were crushed. Panic spread among the council. Everyone argued for control, strategy, and command. The Valorians wanted to lead. The Erics demanded their technology be used first. The Karth offered mercenaries for a price. No one asked the humans. They never did. When the council session ended, the delegates scattered. Only a few remained, including the human group. Commander Ward stood silently, watching the stars outside the massive viewport. The glow of a dying sun painted the chamber in a pale red hue. Beside him, Lieutenant Harper broke the silence. "They still don't trust us, sir." Ward gave a slow nod. "They will, when they have no choice." His tone was calm, but his eyes cold, calculating, told a different story. He had seen this before. History always repeated itself. Humans had learned patience the hard way. They had fought wars alone, rebuilt after disasters, and survived things most races couldn't imagine. And now, in the heart of the galaxy, they were doing the same thing. Watching, waiting, learning every weakness. A few days later, an emergency message arrived. The Vreet swarm had broken through another defense line. Entire fleets had vanished. The Valorians called for an immediate war council. When Commander Ward and his team entered the chamber, chaos ruled. Panic, shouting, accusations. Everyone wanted leadership. No one wanted responsibility. Finally, Lord Kreth turned to the humans. "You, Commander Ward," he said sharply. "You've been silent long enough. Do you humans have anything to offer? Or will you just watch while the galaxy burns?" The hall grew quiet. Every eye turned toward the human table. Ward looked up slowly. Its expression remained unreadable. "We have been watching," he said softly, "and we have been preparing." His words were simple, yet the way he said them made several alien leaders shift uneasily in their seats. Kreth frowned. Preparing for what? Ward's lips curved slightly. "For the day when you finally ask." The next moment, holographic screens flickered to life around the human delegation. Maps of the rim systems appeared, detailed, marked, precise. Human ships had already been stationed along the border, hidden in deep space shadows. Supply lines, tactical routes, and defense grids had been in place for weeks. "You already knew," whispered an Eric's diplomat in disbelief. "You knew they would attack here." Ward nodded once. We observed the swarm's movement patterns. Their queen favors certain types of stars, one similar to her origin system. Once we understood that, her next moves became predictable. Kreth slammed his fist. And you didn't tell us? Ward turned his gaze toward him, calm but sharp. You weren't listening, he said quietly. The silence that followed was heavy. Even the chamber's automated drones paused mid-flight. For the first time, the other species realized something uncomfortable. The humans had known more than anyone thought possible. The Valorians had their pride. The Erics had their technology. The Karth had their numbers. But the humans had understanding. They learned from everyone. They studied quietly. When the galaxy argued, they prepared in silence. Later that night, in the human command ship orbiting the Council world, Lieutenant Harper approached Commander Ward. "Do you think they'll listen now?" she asked. Ward looked out into the dark void, where distant stars shimmered like cold fire. "They'll listen," he said, "because soon they'll have no one else left." A message arrived moments later. Distress call from the Valorian border. The Vreet swarm had arrived. 3 fleets gone. 1 colony wiped out. Ward stared at the transmission quietly. The alien's screams echoed faintly through the bridge. Then he stood. "Signal Task Force Orion," he ordered. "I think it's time to move." The crew snapped to attention. For the first time, the human fleet would reveal itself. And as the engines of war began to hum through the void, Commander Ward spoke softly, a whisper lost in the roar of machinery. "They wanted to know why we sit in the back," he said. "Now, they'll see why." The galaxy had seen countless fleets before, massive armadas that could darken the stars, ships so large they could carry cities within them. But no one had ever seen the humans' fleet until now, far beyond the bright trade lanes and busy colonies, deep in the quiet shadows between systems. The Human Defense Command had been waiting. Hundreds of ships stood motionless in the dark, silent, invisible, hidden behind cloaked satellites and false signals. They were not large or beautiful like Valorian cruisers. They had no glowing banners or golden plating. Human ships were simple, dark, built for one purpose only: survival. Each hull was painted black to blend into space. Their engines were quiet. Their power signatures were minimal. And yet every ship carried weapons powerful enough to tear through planetary shields. For decades, the galaxy thought humans were behind in technology. No one realized that humanity's true strength was in secrecy. Commander Elias Ward stood at the center of the command bridge of the flagship HSS Resolute. Before him, holographic displays glowed with real-time data, enemy positions, fleet formations, gravitational maps. Lieutenant Harper reported in a calm tone. "All units report ready, sir. Stealth field holding. Task Force Orion awaiting your command." Ward nodded slowly. "How long until the Valorian distress sector collapses?" 5 hours, Harper replied. "Their main fleet is gone. Civilians are trying to evacuate, but the swarm is everywhere." Ward's expression didn't change. "Then we move now," he said. "Signal the fleet Shadow Protocol Alpha. Begin full burn." One by one, the hidden ships came alive. Engines flared silently, leaving trails of blue light across the darkness. The human fleet turned toward the distant red glow of the battle, where the Vreet swarm had begun its feast, from the edge of the galaxy. Humanity moved unseen, unheard, unstoppable. On the Valorian world of Neroth, chaos ruled the skies. The swarm had arrived like a storm. Thousands of bioships covered the planet's orbit, organic monsters with black wings and pulsating cores. Their plasma streams burned through Valorian cruisers like fire through paper. In the main command ship, Lord Kreth watched in horror as his fleets fell one by one. "This can't be happening," he shouted. "Deploy all reserves. We cannot lose Nerith." But his officers could only shake their heads. "Reserves are gone, my lord. Communications are failing. We're being jammed." Kreth looked to the screen and saw the planet, below turning red as orbital fire consumed it. He had mocked the humans for sitting silently at the back. Now he would give anything to hear their voices again. Then, without warning, the stars changed. Dozens of new signals appeared on scanners, unknown transponders, Unknown origin? But the readings, they were humans, sir. A Valorian officer cried out. New fleet entering system identification. Human Defense Command. Kreth froze. Humans? Here. And then the black ships appeared. Like ghosts emerging from the dark, the human fleet cut through the void in perfect formation. They moved fast, too fast for most sensors to track. No banners, no symbols, no ceremony, just silent precision. Attention Valorian forces, came a calm voice through the communication line. This is Commander Elias Ward of the Human Defense Command. Fall back. You are now under our protection. The Valorian crews could hardly believe it. The quiet race they ignored for years now commanded the stars with absolute control. Ward gave a short order. All ships fire pattern Omega. And then the darkness exploded. Thousands of railguns, plasma cannons, and kinetic lances fired at once. No light, no warning, only impact. Human weapons didn't rely on fancy beams or glowing energy. They used mass, speed, and brutal precision. Every shot tore through the swarm's organic armor, shredding their ships apart like paper. The Vret swarm screamed through subspace. Their hive minds felt pain. For the first time, Valorian officers watched in stunned silence as the human fleet tore through the enemy line with terrifying efficiency. By the stars, whispered one commander. They fight like machines. Inside the HSS Resolute, Harper called out, enemy retreating from Sector 3. Swarm patterns collapsing. Ward didn't smile. Don't chase them, he said. Cut their command node first. Without the Queen's mind, they'll fall apart. He tapped a single command on his console. A hidden group of stealth frigates broke formation, vanishing into the void. Moments later, a massive explosion lit the enemy's core, a shockwave that tore the hive. Connection apart. The swarm screamed one last time, and then went silent. The battle was over in 27 minutes. Across the galaxy, word spread fast. News networks replayed the same footage, black ships appearing from nowhere, destroying an unstoppable enemy, saving a world that had mocked them in the Galactic Council chamber. Silence filled the room as the broadcast ended. No one spoke. No one laughed. The same Valorian leaders who once mocked humans now stared at the screen with disbelief. Commander Ward's final message played on the broadcast. Humanity does not speak because the galaxy never listens. But when the time comes, we do not need to speak. We act. Hours later, aboard the HSS Resolute, the crew was silent. The stars glowed softly through the viewport. Lieutenant Harper looked at her commander. Do you think they'll understand now, sir? Ward took a slow breath. No, he said quietly. They'll be grateful for a while. Then they'll forget again. He turned toward the darkness ahead. But we'll keep watching. We always do. Somewhere deep in the dark, beyond known space, another signal pulsed faintly. A different hive. A larger one. And within that signal, a voice whispered, "They've awakened the quiet ones." The stars looked calm again. After the Battle of Nereth, space had gone silent. The debris of the Vret swarm drifted slowly, glowing in the faint light of the distant sun. The human fleet floated among the wreckage, victorious, but not at peace. Commander Elias Ward stood on the command deck of the HSS Resolute, staring at the holographic map that showed hundreds of red dots fading away. The remains of the swarm. Lieutenant Harper approached quietly. Cleanup teams report minimal losses, sir, she said. Valorians are thankful. Ward didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on one remaining signal, faint, pulsing, distant. It was not fading. Harper noticed his expression. That one survived? Ward shook his head slowly. No, that's not a survivor. That's a transmission. The signal repeated again. A deep, rhythmic pulse. Almost like a heartbeat. It was coming from beyond the galactic rim, from a place marked only on ancient maps as the silence expanse. Run a spectral analysis, Ward ordered. Moments later, the computer's voice replied, warning, signal contains layered encryption and unknown biopattern resonance. Harper frowned. Biopattern. Like Alive. Ward nodded slowly. It's not just a signal. It's a voice. Across the galaxy, news of humanity's victory spread like wildfire. The Valorians praised them as saviors. The Erics called them tacticians beyond compare. The Karth offered alliance. But the humans didn't celebrate. Commander Ward had already recalled most of the fleet into deep space. Officially, it was for repairs and reorganization. Unofficially, it was because of that signal. The galaxy might have believed the war was over. Ward knew better. He had seen patterns, too perfect, too intentional. The swarm's attack paths were not random. They had been guided. Someone or something had directed them in the ship's dark war room. Ward stood with his senior officers around the holographic table. The strange signal played on repeat, a haunting sound, low and rhythmic. Almost like a whisper through metal lead. Lieutenant Harper spoke softly. It doesn't match any known language, sir, but it's similar to something in our archives. Ward turned. Explain. She tapped a control, and two waveforms appeared. One from the new signal, one from an old file. This is from the Kepler expedition 20 years ago, Harper said. They recorded a similar resonance from a structure beyond mapped space. The team never returned. The room fell silent. Ward's jaw tightened. Show me the coordinates. Harper hesitated. Sir, that area was declared forbidden by the Council. No one goes there. Ward's voice was calm, but firm. We're not the Council. 3 days later, the HSS Resolute and a small strike group left the safety of known space. They entered the dark zone, the silence expanse. It was unlike any region they had seen. No stars, no signals, no light. Even the ship's sensors struggled to read distances. Space itself seemed distorted. Feels like flying through a dream, whispered a crewman. More like a nightmare, Harper replied softly. Ward stood near the viewport, watching the emptiness ahead. His instincts, the ones that had kept humanity alive for centuries, whispered that something was watching them hours later. The signal grew stronger, and then they saw it. A structure, enormous, ancient, and floating in the dark. It was not a station, not a ship. It was something else. A colossal ring, half-broken, stretching for hundreds of kilometers. Strange blue veins of energy pulsed across its surface. Beating in the same rhythm as the signal, the bridge fell silent as they stared. My God, Harper breathed. It's alive. Ward didn't look away. No, it's listening. As the human fleet approached, the ship's systems began to flicker. Screens turned black, voices distorted. And then, through the static, came a voice. Children of Soul, you have awakened. Crew froze. The words weren't in any known tongue, yet every human understood them perfectly, as if the voice spoke directly inside their minds. Ward's heart pounded, but his expression stayed calm. This is Commander Elias Ward of the Human Defense Command. Identify yourself. The voice echoed again, deep and endless. We are the architects. We built the first stars. We shaped the ones you now call gods. And we have been watching your kind. Since the beginning, the bridge filled with an uneasy silence. Harper whispered, Sir, is this real? Ward didn't answer. He took a step closer to the main console. Why contact us now? The voice paused, like it was thinking. Because the others have returned. The ones who devour. You call them swarm. They were not meant to exist. But they escaped our prison. Ward's eyes narrowed. You mean, the swarm wasn't natural? No, the voice replied. They were created, and they are only the beginning. Suddenly the ship trembled. Energy readings spiked. A massive surge of power flowed from the ring structure toward the human fleet. Shields up. Harper shouted. Bright light filled the screens, and then everything went white. When the systems came back, the fleet was gone. No stars, no coordinates. No signal, just darkness. Where are we? Harper whispered. Ward stared at the screen. The navigation computer flickered, then displayed two words. Unknown Reolite Light. Then the voice returned, softer now, almost curious. Do you wish to survive, Commander Ward? Ward answered calmly. Humanity always survives. Then prove it. The stars around them shifted. Hundreds of new signals appeared, closing in. But they weren't swarm. They were something else. Older, stronger. Watching, Ward stood straight, eyes hard. Battle stations. Let's show them why we don't sit in the front. The fleet turned as engines roared to life. Dark against the endless void, humanity once again prepared for the impossible. Darkness surrounded the fleet. No stars, no galaxies, no familiar constellations, only a vast empty void, alive with whispers of energy. The HSS Resolute floated silently among her sister ships. All systems running at minimum power. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge, his reflection faint in the dark glass of the viewport. The crew was quiet. No one dared to speak loudly, as if sound itself might anger whatever unseen force had pulled them here. Lieutenant Harper's voice finally broke the silence. Sir, scanners still can't locate any reference points. We might not be in our universe anymore. Ward gave a slow nod. Keep them running. We need to know what this place is. A low hum filled the air, deep, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The same sound that had drawn them here now vibrated through the hull. Then the voice returned. Welcome, children of soul. You stand where few have survived to stand. This is the forge of creation. The crew froze. Harper whispered, The forge? Before your kind existed, the voice continued, we shaped worlds here. We made life. We tested it. Most failed. Ward's eyes narrowed. And what happens to those who fail? They are forgotten. Without warning, bright light burst across the darkness. The fleet was suddenly surrounded by enormous structures, floating rings of stone and metal, each hundreds of kilometers wide, glowing with strange symbols. Energy storms swirled between them like living lightning. Harper's hands flew across the console. Multiple spatial distortions, sir. They're forming a perimeter around us. Ward didn't flinch. Keep formation. Let's see what kind of test they've prepared. The first ring came alive. Beams of blue light shot toward the fleet, forming massive barriers of pure energy. Within seconds, the humans were trapped in a giant sphere, a cage of light. Your people have survived wars, said the voice of the architects. But war is not the true test of strength. Show us your mind. Harper repeated suddenly. Every display on the ship went dark. And then images began to appear. Earth, oceans, cities, faces, memories. Ward's breath caught. These are from us. We see through your history, the voice said. We feel your pain, your hunger, your endless conflict. You destroy. And yet you rebuild. Why? Ward looked at the swirling lights around the bridge. Because that's what we do. We learn. We adapt. Adaptation is power. Yet your kind hides it behind silence. Why do you not speak of what you know? Ward's eyes hardened. Because when we speak, others don't listen. So we act. A moment passed. Then the lights shifted, as if the architects were thinking. Very well, human. Then act. The second ring flared to life. Energy beams shot outward, forming holographic figures. Dozens, then hundreds. Swarm creatures, larger and faster than before, materialized out of the void. They're recreating the Battle of Nerith. Harper shouted. Ward drew a deep breath. No, this isn't a memory. It's another test. Orders, sir. Fight like we always do. Quietly. The human fleet moved as one. No battle cries, no panic. Just cold precision. Railguns fired silently into the dark. Plasma rounds cut through the void like lightning. The first wave of constructs shattered, but more replaced them faster, stronger, smarter. They're adapting. Harper warned. Ward gave a small nod. So do we. He adjusted the fleet's formation, unpredictable, irregular. Human ships began to move in patterns no algorithm could predict. random to the eye but full of hidden rhythm. The architects watched silently as humanity shifted from defense to counterattack. One by one, the constructs fell. "Impressive," the voice said. "You fight without fear," Ward answered quietly. "Fear teaches nothing. Then let us see what you have learned." The third ring activated. The void trembled. And then, the impossible happened. The space around them warped, forming multiple Earths. Each world was different, some lush and green, others burned and broken. It was humanity's possible futures. "Here lie the paths of your kind," said the voice. "Choose the one worth saving." The crew stared in shock. Harper's voice cracked. "Sir, what do they mean?" "We can't." Ward raised his hand to quiet her. He looked at each projection. The peaceful Earth, the ruined Earth, the one overtaken by machines, the one silent and dead. Finally he said, "None of them." The light pulsed. "Explain." Ward stepped forward. "You want to know what makes us human? It's not perfection. It's choice. We don't need one future. We make our own." For a long moment, there was silence. Then, the void began to shimmer. The rings dimmed. The test was over. "You understand," said the voice, quieter now. "You do not seek domination. You seek meaning." Ward didn't respond. He just stared ahead, calm and steady. "We will remember you, children of soul. Your silence hides wisdom, but your storm hides beneath it." Light flared once more, brighter than any sun. When it faded, the fleet was back, stars all around, the familiar glow of the galaxy ahead. The crew erupted in relief. Cheers, sighs, disbelief. Harper smiled faintly. "We made it." Ward didn't smile. He just looked at the stars. "No," he said softly. "We were allowed to." Later, as the fleet prepared to return to Council space, a message appeared on Ward's personal screen. No sender, no source. Just a single line: "The architects are watching." Ward stared at it in silence. Then he turned away and whispered, "Then they'll see what comes next." Outside, the human fleet moved back toward the galaxy, silent, patient, and stronger than ever. They had been tested by gods and passed, but deep in the void, unseen eyes continued to watch. And somewhere beyond the stars, a shadow stirred, something that feared the return of humanity's fire. 3 weeks had passed since the human fleet vanished beyond the edge of known space. Across the galaxy, rumors spread like wildfire. Some said the humans were destroyed. Others whispered they had met something ancient and survived. No one knew the truth. Not yet. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, tension filled the air. Hundreds of representatives from every major species gathered beneath the towering crystalline dome. The air shimmered with heat from thousands of holodash projectors. The Valorian ambassador, Lord Kreth, stood at the center podium. His golden armor reflected the chamber's light, but his voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "We all saw the footage," he declared. "The humans disappeared beyond the silence expanse. There has been no contact since. Their entire fleet is gone." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Fear, suspicion, disbelief. The Eric's delegate, crystalline skin glowing faintly blue, added coldly, "Perhaps they went too far. The architect's domain was forbidden." The council warned them. From the side, a deep voice growled. It belonged to a Karth general, his reptilian eyes narrow and sharp. Or perhaps they found something powerful. Too powerful to share. The hall erupted into chaos. Every race began to argue, fear turning into anger. Humans were reckless. They broke council laws. What if they bring danger to us all? And then, the doors opened. Silence fell instantly. From the bright corridor beyond, a formation of human officers entered. Their boots echoed softly against the polished floor. At their center walked Commander Elias Ward. Calm as ever. Every eye turned toward him. Some in shock, some in fear, some in awe. Lord Kreth took an involuntary step back. You're alive." Ward gave a faint nod. We usually are. The simple reply carried more weight than 1,000 speeches. The council chair, a tall Eric's elder named Sci-Fi, leaned forward. Commander Ward, the council demands an explanation. Where did you go? What did you encounter? Ward looked around the chamber at the faces of beings who once mocked humanity. His voice was calm, but his words carried an invisible edge. We found the ones who came before, he said. The architects. Gasps filled the hall. Sarai's crystalline fingers tapped nervously. That's impossible. They are myths. Ward's expression didn't change. Myths don't test fleets, chairwoman. They tested us, Eric's delegate hissed. Tested you? For what? Ward looked him directly in the eyes. To see if we were ready. Ready for what? Ward paused. Then he said softly, for what's coming next. The hall fell utterly silent behind him. Lieutenant Harper projected holographic images above the council floor, massive structures in dark space. Energy readings beyond known limits. And faint images of the ring where the architects had appeared, the room filled with shimmering light and shadows, proof no one could deny. This, Lord Kreth whispered. This changes everything. Ward nodded slowly. It should. For a long time, no one spoke. The weight of what they saw pressed down on every being present. The council chair finally broke the silence. Commander Ward, she said carefully, did they say what they wanted? Ward's eyes darkened slightly. They said we passed their test, but that we were not alone. Chill ran through the chamber. Sarai leaned forward. You mean the swarm? No, Ward said quietly. Something worse. The swarm was a weapon, not the maker. Fear spread through the delegates. Voices rose again, panic, confusion, denial. The Karth general slammed his clawed fist on the table. If there's another threat, then we must act now. Share your data, human. Ward turned to him slowly. We will share what we can. But humanity will not give control of its knowledge to the council. Gasps again. The Eric's delegate snapped, You have no right to withhold information. The galaxy deserves to know. Ward's gaze was like steel. The galaxy never listens until it's burning. The word struck hard. Every leader who had once ignored humanity's warnings felt the weight of that truth. Lord Kreth stood, his voice softer now. Commander, if what you say is true, then we owe you our gratitude. Humanity saved us from the swarm, and you faced the architects alone. Ward looked at him, and for a brief second, there was something like respect in his eyes. We don't want gratitude, he said. We want preparation. He stepped forward. The next threat won't come with noise. It will come in silence. And when it does, don't look for us in the front lines. His words echoed through the vast chamber, calm, powerful, final. After the session, as the council debated in fear and confusion, Harper walked beside Ward through the long corridors of the station. They're afraid of us now, she said quietly. Ward replied. Good. Fear keeps them alert. Harper hesitated. Do you think the architects are truly watching? Ward looked out through the station's massive window at the stars glittering like cold diamonds. They're always watching, he said softly. So are others. Far from the council world, in the cold void near the galactic rim, something moved. A signal pulsed, slow, deep, and ancient. Hidden beneath a dying star, a vast shape began to stir, blacker than space itself. And within that darkness, countless eyes opened. A voice, not human and not machine, whispered across the stars, The children of Sol have awakened. Begin the harvest. The stars were quiet again. Too quiet. Weeks had passed since humanity's return from the silence expanse. The Galactic Council still argued over reports and evidence, but far away from their polished halls, something ancient had begun to move. In the black void beyond charted space, sensors caught strange readings, faint, rhythmic pulses that matched no known pattern. They were ignored at first, until ships started disappearing. At the edge of the Perseus frontier, Captain Mara Vance stared at her ship's radar. The ISS Horizon was one of the newest human exploration cruisers. Built to patrol the borders between known and forbidden space. Her eyes narrowed. That can't be right, she whispered. A young officer turned toward her. Ma'am, the signal again. Dance nodded. Same frequency, same direction. It's watching us. Before anyone could respond, the lights flickered once, twice, and the ship's systems went dark for a moment. Then a deep, low hum filled the whole. Every crew member froze. No alarms, no damage, just that unnatural hum. Then it stopped, and when the sensors came back online, something enormous was there. It was not a ship. A colossal silhouette drifted in the dark, so massive it blocked the light of an entire star. Its shape was hard to understand, constantly shifting. Bat-like. Shadows trying to become solid. Vance whispered. Contact command. Now. But communications were dead. Her officer shouted, Ma'am, it's scanning us. The shadow pulsed once, releasing waves of strange radiation that danced across their hull. Then, in an instant, the creature or machine vanished, as if it was never there. Only the hum remained, echoing faintly in the crew's minds. On Earth, deep under the North Atlantic Command Complex, Commander Elias Ward stood before a massive holographic display. Reports from across human colonies filled the air. Missing patrols, ghost signals, vanishing fleets. Each one had the same signature frequency. Harper pointed to the data. It's spreading, sir. It's the same signal that came from the architect's test field. But this, it's different. Stronger. Ward folded his arms. Not stronger, he said quietly, focused. She frowned. You think they're targeting us? He looked up at the map, the signal threads moving like veins across the galaxy. They're not targeting us, he said. They're studying the ones who failed. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council, panic had replaced pride. Delegates shouted over each other, demanding protection, demanding answers. The Eric's delegate slammed his glowing fist against the table. Humans brought this upon us. They woke something that should have stayed asleep. The Karth general hissed back, and yet they are the only ones not hiding. At that moment, the chamber doors opened again. Ward walked in, silent, controlled, but with a colder expression this time. Enough, he said simply. The words silenced the entire hall. Lord Kreth stood. Commander Ward, are the rumors true? Whole fleets are vanishing? Ward nodded, yes, and they're not coming back. Sarai, the Eric's elder, leaned forward. Then tell us what we are facing. Ward tapped his wrist console, and a hologram appeared above the table, a flickering, monstrous shadow, shifting endlessly. We call it the Watcher, Ward said. It observes, learns, and adapts. The architects warned us about it, the thing even they feared. Gasps filled the chamber. The architect said. Ward continued, the void does not sleep. It watches those who wake. Silence followed. For the first time in centuries, the council had no words. Harper stepped forward and pointed to the hologram. We've intercepted fragments of their signals. It's not communication, it's analysis. They're scanning everything that emits thought or light. Lord Kreth whispered. They're learning about us. Ward nodded, and once they learn enough, they will come. The Karth general slammed his claw on the table. Then we fight. We unite our fleets, all species together. Ward's eyes narrowed.
Wait, what, General?
You can't fight something you can't see. The general growled. Then what do you suggest, human? Ward stared at the hologram, the shadow that watched from beyond. I suggest we stop shouting, he said, and start listening. That night, in the quiet of his command room, Ward replayed the recordings from the horizon, the hum that had filled their ship. Harper entered quietly. You've been here for hours. Ward didn't look up. It's not a signal, he said. It's a voice. She frowned. A voice. He nodded slowly. It's saying something. But not in words. It's like it's trying to understand us. He leaned closer to the console. It's not just watching. It's calling. Far across the galaxy, inside the black shape near the dying star, something stirred again. This time, the hum grew louder, deeper, as if answering the human's curiosity. Dozens of smaller shapes detached from the main shadow, each one gliding silently toward inhabited systems. They were scouts, invisible, undetectable, and they carried the same message. The cycle resumes. Observation ends. Harvest begins. Back on Earth, alarms began to flash across every command center. Ward looked up from the console as red lights filled the room. "Sir Harper!" shouted. "They're moving! Hundreds of them across every border." Ward stood slowly, eyes calm but fierce. "Then it begins," he said. "Prepare the fleets. Humanity's silence is over." As the human armadas powered up, the void outside shimmered with motion. The Watchers had finally made their move, and humanity, once quiet and patient, now stood ready. The galaxy had asked why humans stayed silent. Now, it was about to find out what that silence was hiding. Darkness spread across the stars. The Watchers had come. They moved like living shadows. No engines, no light, no heat, feeding on energy, thought, and fear. Worlds went dark without a single explosion. Fleets vanished without distress calls. And yet deep within the chaos, Earth remained silent. No distress signals. No transmissions. Just silence. The galaxy waited for humanity to speak. And then, they did. Inside Orbital Command Station, Sol 1, Commander Elias Ward stood before a massive tactical screen. Around him, the best of humanity gathered: soldiers, scientists, and AI tacticians. Harper entered, her face pale. "Sir, 23 colonies gone dark. The Council fleets are in retreat." Ward didn't answer at first. He stared at the holographic map, thousands of red markers pulsing across the stars. Finally he spoke. "They were never meant to fight the Watchers." "None of them were," Harper frowned. "Then who was?" Ward turned slowly, his eyes cold and calm. "Us." In orbit above Earth, hundreds of massive human warships came alive. The silence that once surrounded the Sol system was broken by the hum of awakening titans. These were silent fleets, ships hidden for decades, built in secret beneath the oceans and moons. Designed for one purpose: to fight the things that even the architects feared. Each vessel bore no emblem, no flag. Only a single mark: a white circle on black metal. Symbolizing the calm before the storm, Ward's voice echoed through every ship. "We stayed silent while they laughed. We watched while they argued. But silence was never weakness. It was preparation." The fleet launched. At the same time, in the Galactic Council, chaos reigned. Leaders shouted over each other as images of dying worlds filled the screens. The Eric's elder. Siri slammed her crystal hand down. "Where are the humans? Why aren't they helping?" The Karth general hissed. "They've abandoned us." Then the screens flickered. Every display. Every transmission replaced by a single image. Commander Ward. He stood against a backdrop of stars, his expression calm. "This is Commander Ward of Earth Command. To all Council worlds, fall back. Do not engage the shadows. The silent fleets are moving." The Council chamber went silent. For the first time they obeyed without question, out in deep space. The first human strike began. The Watchers glided forward, dark and endless. Energy weapons, missiles, plasma, all failed against them. But humanity fought differently. They didn't rely on light. They used silence. The human ships vanished from sensors, switching to quantum drift stealth, invisible, unpredictable, untraceable. They struck not with beams, but with gravity bending space itself to tear the Watchers apart from within. Every time one shadow fell, a pulse echoed across the void, and the galaxy felt it. Ward's fleet moved like ghosts, silent and precise, fighting a war no other species could understand. On one Council world, millions watched as the sky turned black. The Watchers descended and then suddenly stopped. Dozens of human ships emerged from nowhere, their hulls shimmering with energy. The shadows recoiled for the first time, showing hesitation. A child looked up from the city below and whispered, "They're here." The humans unleashed their final weapon, the solar chorus. a resonant field that amplified human neural energy into a harmonic wave. It wasn't just sound, it was thought. A living message that echoed through space. You watched us. You've studied us. Now understand us. The wave hit the watchers. For a moment, they froze. Billions of fragments of dark energy trembling as if remembering something. Then they screamed. The sky exploded with light. The shadows broke apart, dissolving into energy streams that the human ships absorbed and neutralized. Ward stood silently on the bridge, eyes reflecting the glow. Harper whispered, "It's working. We're winning." Ward shook his head slightly. "Not winning. Teaching." She looked at him, confused. He continued softly. "The architects called us the children of noise. They said silence was our weapon, the moment before sound becomes creation. Now the Watchers know why we were quiet." Across the galaxy, as the last of the shadows faded, every signal, every transmission, carried the same message from Earth Command. Humanity was never silent out of fear. We listened, we learned, and we prepared. The next time darkness comes, we won't be at the back. We'll be waiting in the dark. Days later, the Galactic Council gathered again, this time in awe. Not arrogance. Lord Kreth spoke quietly. They saved us. Again, Sarai's crystalline face shimmered with strange light. "No," she said softly. "They saved everyone. Even those who never listened." In the silence that followed, an ancient truth finally settled across the galaxy. Humans were never just soldiers or explorers. They were the Watchers of the Watchers. Back on Earth, Ward stood alone on the observation deck of the Sol 1 station. Harper joined him, smiling faintly. "It's quiet again." Ward nodded. "Good," she asked. "Do you think it's over?" He looked at the stars, cold, distant, and alive. "No," he said. "But when it starts again, they'll know. Silence is not emptiness. It's the warning before thunder." As the camera panned over Earth and its silent fleet, the screen faded to black. When the galaxy finally asked why humans stay silent at the back, they learned the answer the hard way.